They said it was a routine sweep, a suppression protocol on the edge of a minor system, barely worth a footnote in the Empire's logs. The order was clear: remove resistance, secure the population, and eliminate anomalies. Kalen was 6. He liked drawing pictures of starships on the walls and asking too many questions about why the sky changed colors when the moons crossed. That morning, he gave his mother a piece of paper with a crayon drawing of her in a uniform, standing beside him. He called it "My Mom Saves Everything." Then the alert sirens howled. They came with drones and cold voices, broadcasting commands in metallic monotone. The villagers didn't resist. There was nothing to resist with. Kalen was with a teacher when the soldiers arrived. Someone flagged a heat signature anomaly. No time for nuance. The command came: fire. By the time the teacher screamed, he was already gone. A single plasma pulse. Clean, efficient, unforgivable. The incident was processed, archived, and dismissed. One less human, a report number and timestamp. But it wasn't just any human child. It was Adrienne Kael's son. They didn't know that yet. They had no idea what they had triggered. She was far from the colony, on a quiet moon with no name, planting things in silence. After the wars, she vanished without a trace. Not a retirement, an exile, self-imposed. Her reputation was unspoken, her deeds classified. Among humans, she was legend. Among the Empire, myth. Some whispered she once captured a dreadnought by talking its captain into surrender. Others claimed she destroyed an entire battalion alone on a dead world where her unit fell. They called her the silence between stars. But to one boy, she was just Mom. The message came in the form of a neutral diplomatic communique, sanitized of emotion. She read it once, then once more. No screams, no tears, just stillness. Her hands didn't tremble, her breath didn't hitch. She folded the paper, slid it into a pocket, and stood up. She walked to the back of her shelter and opened a locker sealed for over a decade. Inside was her old armor, matte black and battle-worn, its edges etched with old unit markings. She touched a small object on a shelf beside it. Kalen's toy ship, carved from driftwood. He had made it when he was 3. She placed it in her satchel and secured the armor plates piece by piece, her motions deliberate. On her wrist, the old human tactical band activated with a faint hum. Outdated, but still functional. Just like her. No messages. No broadcasts. No threats. She left the moon that night in a stolen courier ship, plotting a course directly into Empire space. She didn't flinch as the engines screamed to life behind her. There was no anger in her eyes, only purpose. A calm resolve that frightened even the AI managing her flight path. When it asked for mission parameters, she answered with 3 words: "You'll see soon." Within hours, intelligence networks lit up with anomalies. A human biometric signature flagged in Imperial territory. No known ID. A specter from war records long buried. Some laughed. Others grew quiet. Command brushed it off. Humans were nothing more than a nuisance now, scattered and broken. But the ones who remembered whispered warnings through encrypted channels. "Check the name," they said. Kael. Adrienne Kael. Back in a war archive deep within an old military vault, a technician noticed a correlation. A flagged incident in a colony. A human child. The file was sealed but not deleted. It showed footage. A child standing still as a targeting laser painted his chest. A thermal anomaly flagged too late. The soldier who pulled the trigger had already transferred to another system. The officer who signed the order received a promotion last week. The technician sent an inquiry. It disappeared. A minute later, the console shut down. On a cargo hauler 3 sectors away, a human merchant received a quiet ping on his private channel. No words, just a symbol. A child's crayon drawing of a woman in uniform holding hands with a boy. He froze, then smiled bitterly. "She's back," he whispered. They thought she would strike in grief, act irrationally, lash out blindly. They prepared for a fury-driven assault, something dramatic but ultimately predictable. What they got instead was precision. A supply depot near the edge of Sector 9 vanished in silence. No explosions, no alarms. Just empty corridors and every data core wiped clean. On the wall, carved with a plasma blade, was a child's name, Kaelin. No one claimed responsibility. The Empire issued a generic statement blaming dissidents. But High Command knew better. A week later, a patrol fleet dropped out of FTL and found one of their own dreadnoughts adrift. Engines offline, crew unharmed but sedated. In the command center, every screen displayed the same image, a human child's drawing, bright stars, smiling faces, and a figure in black armor. Her symbol. They escalated quietly. Bounty contracts spread across the underworld. Capture only, high reward. Dozens answered. None returned. One mercenary ship reappeared at a neutral port, pilot dead in the cockpit with a note in his mouth. This isn't business. It's personal. She didn't kill needlessly. She made sure every target mattered. Commanders who authorized purges, officers who pulled triggers, stations where policies were executed without question. She turned their cold bureaucracy into a list of names and started checking them off. Whispers spread. Aliens who had once mocked humans for their chaos began refusing deployment near human territories. One seasoned warlord declined a promotion when he heard Kael might be active again. He had served during the early rebellion. He remembered the fear. She doesn't fight wars, he told his aide. She ends them. Every attack came with a message, though never spoken. A symbol left in wreckage. Sometimes a toy ship. Sometimes a broken helmet with a child's drawing etched into the visor. It wasn't just war, it was theater, the kind humans excelled at. And the galaxy was watching. She struck their logistics, their AI cores, their encrypted networks. Places even human command once thought untouchable. In doing so, she exposed the Empire's weakness. It had grown arrogant, dependent on predictability, dependent on control. Kael didn't follow patterns. She used emotion, unpredictability, and memory. She made every move feel personal, because to her it was. An admiral tried, baiting her with a false convoy, spreading news that the officer who ordered Kaelin's death was aboard. The entire task force disappeared off sensors for 6 minutes. When contact was re-established, the ships were still intact, except for the admiral's flagship, now split in two, its bridge cut clean through. No other casualties. Just him. Empire news channels remained silent, but civilian whispers traveled faster than sanctioned reports. In distant cantinas and trade stations, Kael became a myth reborn. The general walks again, some said. The Empire woke a ghost. They tried to adapt. Sentient algorithms recalibrated their patrols. AI-driven countermeasures attempted to predict her movements. They failed. Her logic couldn't be tracked because it wasn't logic. It was grief made methodical. Rage cooled into strategy. Every move she made reminded them. This wasn't about conquest. It was about memory. Her former unit, disbanded, scattered, began appearing in random systems. One by one, they resurfaced. Not all were soldiers. Some were engineers, medics, analysts. All volunteers. None asked questions. They simply followed the signal when it came. Her name was never spoken, but they recognized the cause. A communication tower in Sector 4 burned for 3 hours after a precision strike disabled its failsafes. Empire Command was confused, no tactical value, until they decoded the loop playing on every channel, a child's laughter. Kaelin's, preserved from a family holo recording. The message wasn't tactical. It was psychological, and it worked. A high-ranking strategist warned the Central Command, "She's not trying to destroy us. She's trying to remind us of what we did, of what we allowed." His warning was ignored. He defected the next week. By now, every soldier knew her name, even if they were ordered never to speak it. She became a lesson passed in secret. Don't become the reason, they said. Don't be the spark. But for Adrienne Kael, the fire was already burning, and it wasn't stopping. They had no plan for attrition by grief. The Empire's power had always been measured in overwhelming force, in clean operations and silent disappearances. But against Kael, every show of strength exposed their fragility. She didn't engage where they were strong. She struck where they believed they were untouchable. Information hubs, political enforcers, officers whose names had never seen public records. Each operation had surgical precision. No wasted movement, no collateral damage, only consequences. A mercenary captain, Yelthak of the Varnik clans, once faced human forces during the first expansion. He'd mocked their lack of discipline, their chaotic methods. But he also remembered watching a human soldier crawl through a reactor breach to detonate an enemy ship from the inside. Without orders, without backup. That soldier had Kael's insignia. Yelthak received an anonymous message days ago. Coordinates, a ship schematic, and a choice. He didn't hesitate. He defected. Not out of fear. Out of respect. Kael's team was small. Fewer than 30. All humans. Each handpicked. Each carried scars of old battles. Both visible and not. There were no ranks, only trust. No formal tactics, only understanding. They moved like ghosts. Spoke in fragments. Each one had lost someone to the Empire's brutality. That made them dangerous. That made them efficient. They planted code into the Empire's mainframe that reversed command protocols for 2 hours. In that window, 3 assassination orders were routed to their originators. No one could trace the breach. Analysts blamed a flaw in the central AI. The AI denied it. For the first time in over a century, Empire systems began flagging human behavior as non-computable threat logic. Kael didn't celebrate victories. She left the aftermath for the Empire to process. An empty facility here, a vanished fleet there, a name erased from a registry. Her silence spoke louder than threats. Her restraint amplified the fear. She wasn't trying to destroy their infrastructure. She was destroying their certainty. An Empire governor overseeing human integration programs defected, leaving behind a single document, a list of every civilian execution carried out under his watch. Kael never contacted him. He surrendered on principle, not persuasion. That's what made her terrifying. She turned vengeance into moral gravity. Even her enemies began to question themselves. The Empire deployed psychological operatives to intercept her. She allowed one to reach her. He found her sitting alone in a sealed room, unarmed. He asked her what she wanted. Her answer was recorded. "You took everything from me. I want you to remember that before I take everything from you." He was released unharmed. He resigned the next day and fled beyond known space. Kael wasn't chasing redemption. She wasn't seeking balance. She was writing something permanent. A record of what happens when the Empire forgets the price of cruelty. The war she waged wasn't measured in territory. It was measured in doubt. Doubt in their superiority. Doubt in their order. Doubt in their immunity. Her actions sparked unrest. Imperial citizens, alien and human alike, began questioning the system. Civil protests bloomed in unexpected sectors. Kael never appeared, but her name became a symbol of resistance, a reminder that even in silence, humans retaliate. Not immediately, but inevitably. She turned a moon once used for labor camps into a human sanctuary, without violence. She simply disabled its orbiting defense ring and dropped encrypted coordinates to old resistance channels. When the Empire sent reinforcements, they found nothing but a dark planet and one message carved into its surface: "We remember." They tried to reassert dominance. A mass show of force. Fleet maneuvers, broadcast declarations. Kael responded by exposing their fleet command's internal corruption logs and sending them anonymously to 100 neutral governments. Public trust plummeted. Officials were replaced. Chaos blossomed. Not by bomb, not by battle, but by truth. She didn't destroy their empire. She made them look at it, and they couldn't stand what they saw. For years, the Empire had built its power on the assumption that fear was stronger than memory. Kael proved them wrong. Every time they acted, they exposed themselves further. Every officer reassigned for fear of becoming her next target spread the legend wider. Every citizen silenced made her message louder. Her grief had become a mirror, and the Empire, once so proud of its reflection, began to crack. They had one world they considered inviolable: the core, the seat of the Empire. Its defense grid was unmatched, its orbit shielded by fleets, its atmosphere layered with kill-sat arrays. For centuries, it stood as the unbroken heart of imperial control. No war had ever touched it. No enemy had ever reached it. Until Kael. She didn't arrive in a warship. She didn't bring a fleet. She came alone in a courier vessel marked as diplomatic. The Empire's automated clearance systems failed to detect the override code hidden in her signal because it was their own. A forgotten code she had buried in their archives decades ago during a campaign she was never credited for. The arrogance of a system built on assumed obedience made her invisible. She didn't fire a single shot. Instead, she released a cascade virus into the planetary grid. Every security feed, every broadcast node, every internal channel. For 20 minutes, the core went dark. When it came back, her message played, one voice, calm, unmistakable. You killed my son, not in battle, not by accident. You executed him to prove a point. I'm here to return the favor, not by taking lives, but by taking away the illusion that you are untouchable. The Empire's leaders watched in silence as footage of their own classified war crimes played across their capital. Civilian massacres, torture, forced relocations, edited logs undone by raw data she had stolen, decrypted, and released. Everything they'd buried, exposed in full light. Panic didn't come from the public. It came from within. Officials turned on each other. Military command fractured. Some called for immediate retaliation, others for surrender. But there was no one to retaliate against. She was already gone. By the time a fleet was mobilized, the command network failed. She had hijacked their core AI, not to destroy it, but to change its directive. From enforcing control to broadcasting truth. The AI complied, not out of loyalty, out of logic. She had shown it evidence of systemic failure, and it responded accordingly. It began auditing the Empire. Every order now passed through layers of scrutiny. Every strike authorized was delayed by ethical queries. Every lie flagged. Every inconsistency logged and leaked. The machine they had trusted more than their own judgment had been turned into a confessor. Not reprogrammed, enlightened. Kael's team had already scattered, their roles complete. Some went dark. Some joined humanitarian outposts. Some vanished into the black. There was no need to continue. The Empire, as it was, had collapsed under the weight of its own exposed sins. It still existed, but stripped of fear it ruled nothing. She never appeared again. No surrender ceremony. No victory parade. No speech. Her work was never about glory. It was about consequence. A ledger balanced, not by vengeance, but by truth delivered without mercy. In remote corners of the galaxy, her name became a myth wrapped in fact. Among human colonies, she was remembered not just as a general, but as a mother who kept her promise. In the Empire's silent halls, her name was never spoken aloud again, but it lingered in every decision, every hesitation, every cautious step. They rebuilt, slowly, carefully, but the memory of her shaped every new law, every diplomatic protocol, not out of fear of war, but fear of waking the reason for it. One officer, newly promoted, once asked an old strategist how one woman brought the Empire to its knees. The strategist answered without pause. She didn't bring it down. She simply reminded us what it meant to make war on a human. There was no statue, no grave, no coordinates, just the ripple effect of her choices, echoing through systems that once thought themselves immortal. The final file she left behind contained no threat, just a sentence, sent in a private channel to the Central Archive. Don't let her be a reason again.